We ready? Let's go. Voice is good. Everything is good. God bless Canada forever. All right, welcome. This is Akram Kilani from Kilani Jewellery. This is Remember the Fucking Face podcast.
Remember the fucking face.
My boy JD Era, the original legend out of Toronto.
What up,
One of the biggest hip-hop artists through the time of me being here in Canada. I've heard your music for over 20 years now. And I remember back in the day, I used to run around to different flea markets so I can find CDs that has the rappers from Toronto. And it was very difficult. So you have to go dig in to find the rappers and get their CDs.
Yeah.
Or you can go, or back then, over 20 years ago, it used to be a lot of the hoods, they used to organize the park. And they have a stage, and every hood comes to that park, do barbecues for kids and celebrations and activities. And every hood will have their hip-hop guy goes on stage, and that's how it used to be, or that's how the message gets transferred, and that's how we find out about new rap.
Yeah, who's nice, who isn't nice, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So tell me about that time, because if we go back, that's your time. There was no social media, there's no YouTube, no Instagram, no Facebook. Back in the day was more of Yahoo Messenger, MSN Messenger, and then, you know what I mean, MySpace came out, and it made a big damage into everything, and it started to change the platform.
That's kind of how your music got out and whatnot.
So tell me about the beginning of JD Era promoting himself at a tough time for Toronto, where hip-hop was not accepted anywhere else in the world. It had to be American for hip-hop first. And for Canadian rappers, found it very difficult to be able to go across the border and to get the music here or get it on radio and DJs. Now I want to know more of that time.
It was a different Toronto, right? Like I come from the mixtape generation, so it was very much like out of the trunk. If you wanted to get your music out to people, you had to like physically be there, because we couldn't get. So I guess the separation from my generation was we couldn't get record deals, right? So at the time, record labels were like, they weren't really signing artists and things like that because sales were kind of declining. So getting signed wasn't a thing, especially if you were a Canadian artist, that wasn't a thing. So we kind of took the model from the guys down south, you know what I mean, with the whole out of the trunk thing, printing your own mixtapes. Guys like 50, you know, they were doing the mixtape circuit.
Yeah, I think 50 started the mixtape, wasn't it?
50 was big with it, but the guys down south are probably like the first guys who were really like moving big units out of the trunk. You know
That's
what I mean?
Amazing. That's amazing.
So it was like for us. So it's funny you say flea markets, because that's literally my original, you know, kind of place where I broke ground was like flea markets, Young and Dundas, Play the Record. You know, we'd go everywhere with our mixtapes and just kind of have it in the stores and just kind of build relationships with those people, you know what I mean? And be like, okay, yo, you sell the tapes, I'll be back next week to come collect whatever, you know, a little change or whatever it is. And like that just slowly kind of started to build up. And it went from the kind of physical mixtape thing to, like you said, kind of transitioning to the MySpaces and stuff like that, where we're the first generation on kind of social media, the first generation on Facebook, the first generation on YouTube, you know, and it was like, we're just putting our music up just for people to hear it, you know what I mean? Because for us, we're Canadian, you know, being Canadian rapper at that time, we didn't have anybody who had made it yet, right? Like Cardi was the closest thing that we had, and he was just starting to bubble a little bit, like with the whole Akon stuff. So for us, it was like it was a race to see who could be first, you know what I mean? Is really what it was, you know what I mean? So we were all just trying different things to try and get one up on the other, or like you see someone do it this way and you're like, okay, yo, I'm gonna try it that way, you know, type of thing. But like I remember, I'll give you one quick story. I went to Def Jam back in the day, like before anyone was really signed like that. Like I took a trip to New York. I used to all the time I'd go to the States and just kind of like try to hustle a little bit. But I went to New York. I went to Def Jam with my tape. And I was like, it was unreleased music and whatnot. And I met with like, it was Lenny S at the time. And he let me into the building. Like I actually snuck my way into the building. They were like, who are you? Da, da, da. And I was like, oh, I'm from Toronto. I just told them I'm from Canada. And they were like, okay, give me 1 second. And then Lenny actually came out and ended up meeting me. And I got to sit with him and just chop it up. And I just remember bringing my shit there. And the first thing them asking was like, who raps in Canada? You know what I mean?
Oh my
Like
God, that was the biggest thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was like there's rappers, you know, that I think I know a guy named Cardinal Official, you know what I mean? It's kind of how they would say it, you know, like they didn't even say his name
and
right.
Def Jam was the only record label that was accepting people even from Canada. I know a lot of people that actually got signed.
Yeah,
with Def Jam.
absolutely.
And it was like 50K, 100K signings.
Yeah,
like
if you get signed to it, you know, guys like Socrates and stuff like that are going to be some of the first guys that were kind of getting deals on the U.S. side like that. But at that time, like no one was getting signed. You know what I mean? It was like so just kind of going in there and being a fresh face and like just being, you know, like as much as the American guys are like, where the fuck you from type of shit, if the music was solid, they gave you a chance. You know what I mean? So for me, I was always given an opportunity to kind of like get through doors and whatnot, and like I just kind of use that energy to kind of build over here. Like I was never scared to go to radio. I was never scared to like pull up. Like I come from the battle scene, right? So you know, it's like you said, the thing about being in the park and whatnot, like that's a regular for me. That like going into different neighborhoods and like, you know, I'd pull up to Jane and Finch. I'd pull up to Scarborough.
Just so you can go and put your music out there.
Who's the best rapper here? You know what I mean? Like, exactly, okay, yo, we're going to battle. You know what I mean? Like, or, you know what I mean? Type of thing. So
that was the sickest time I remember. Like, 100%. I can't forget these times.
Yeah, you know, the energy was just different. And I think the worries about, like, certain street shit were a little bit different, too. You know what I mean? So it was a different Toronto, but definitely the hustle is what the thing that I loved the most about that time, right? Like Tory Lanez is probably the end of that era. And I just remember him being like a 15-year-old kid hustling mixtapes, and it's because he watched guys like me and Drake and certain guys hustling mixtapes. You know what I mean?
It costs so much money to be able to print all the mixtapes and the covers and the pay and the cover page, whatever it is, the photo.
Yeah.
So for a rapper trying to get his money back and get his music here, at least to break even, you know what I mean, for this investment, because you guys still putting hours for the studio
time, producers, everything, right?
Now, I want to, since you talked and you brought Cardinal Official, I remember the day Cardinal Official was signed to Akon, and Akon gave him his pendant and chain, and he was presented with that chain at the BET Award, and it was the first time ever in Canadian history to actually see somebody from Toronto that actually makes it to the BET Award,
BET, right? Yeah,
and gets a big piece by Akon and gets signed. From that moment, I can never forget the feeling I ever had in my stomach. But that was one of the biggest feeling ever, because for a hip hop community, we were fighting to make it. Like I remember when I used to tell people I'm a hip hop jeweler, they used to look at me as a thief immediately. But now everybody wants to be a hip hop jeweler.
It's because they only have the source jewelry to kind of compare it to. You know?
Yeah, that's how they think about it.
Yeah.
But now I love the wording from my dad when we opened up here and we started building up our branding. And the branding manager said, you know, we need to shift a little bit of our ways on how we deal and change the style of our jewelry to be more broader, like more, like, you know, for other kind.
Yeah, reach a little bit more people.
And then my dad looked at him, he's like, the world is becoming hip-hop.
Facts.
We all hip-hop.
Facts.
So we have to accept it. And since then, our brand has been booming. Now we're the official jewelers of the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
But I want to bring you back. If you remember, before Cardinal Official got signed, JP or JB from Flemo, he was one of the first guys to have a song with an American rapper, which is The Game.
Yeah.
I knew it from that day in the park when I met you. Had to get you, keep you right by my side.
And that was one of the biggest hits, and it made all the Canadian rappers feel that they have a chance. Do you remember that time, Zono?
Yeah, that
you said it's The Game.
What was ill? Yeah, what was ill about that time was that not only it was like the bridging of the gap with an American and a Canadian artist, but I think JB was one of the first like street rappers that we had that had a really big record. Right, like,
it was big. It was big. Yeah, you know, all radios were playing it worldwide.
It was organic. You know what I mean, and I think that's what made it so sick, right? Because it started out in the streets in Toronto and people really playing it and getting behind the record, and then it gradually became something elsewhere. You know what I mean? So whenever we have moments like that, like the whole city really super gets behind it, because it's rare, right? Like usually something will pop off like elsewhere, and then over here, you know, they really get behind it. But that's one of the few that I remember that it was really organic. And
Did it push
grew.
you to go back to the studio and push hard at that time?
Oh, everyone does. You know what I mean? Like, anytime someone gets a one up on me, that's how I feel, right? Like, if you're on an award show or something, I'm like, oh, I gotta cook. I gotta make something better than that. You know what I mean? Like, I come from a basketball history, right? Like, I started out in the city playing basketball first, so I'm always gonna be competitive by nature. You know,
motherfucker, you're a hooper.
Yeah, once upon
You're
a time,
a hooper
man.
and a rapper.
Come on, man. Hoop Dreams was my original nickname.
That's okay. I can't be talking shit to you about that because now I'm a jeweler and a rapper.
I'll crush you, my Toronto Raptors. Still out of here. You don't want another court here.
Oh my God! You know what? I can only do 3-point shots.
That's good. At least
I
you know
can't do
yourself.
close-up shots.
You know yourself.
That's the only one thing. But if I feel somebody's coming at me, I don't think I'm gonna make the shot. I'll just give them the
Then you
ball.
pass?
Yeah, I just tell everybody, if you want me to make the score, give me some time.
Give me space. I need
Yeah,
time
give
and
me space. Don't make me feel frightened.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I got to know more about basketball more when I landed into North America, because in the Middle East was all about soccer and stuff. And we talked about soccer, and what I love, I asked you about your background, and you said you're Ghanaian.
Yeah.
Ghana is in the middle of Africa, right?
Ghana, West Africa. We're
Oh,
right
you're
on the
Ghana
coast.
or Ghanaian?
Ghana. So we're right on
okay.
the Gold Coast. You know, we're right beside Nigeria.
It's the same way, but you switched it on me.
Our jollof is
Yeah, Ghana. I
tier.
actually seen a game with Ghana playing against Brazil in the World Cup 2006 in Germany.
crazy.
And they lost 2-1.
Yeah.
And I was at that game. I was in
You
Germany.
actually there?
Yeah, that was the only game I ever fucking seen.
We
in the
got
World
forever
Cup.
beef with Uruguay. You know what I mean? If you're from
Yeah,
Uruguay,
but they lost against
yeah,
Brazil,
that's,
and they came out of that World Cup, and it was very sad because it was the only African team that I felt represents me.
Yeah.
And when I wanted to go see, I was like, what am I gonna fucking choose?
Yeah,
European.
yeah.
fucking
You
thing.
don't-
Like,
you
I
don't-
needed something the
I know how
closest.
it goes.
And
know how
I
it
told
goes.
you when I was growing up as a kid, my first ever soccer jersey was a Cameroon jersey. So
Big. So you are West African by nature. You like
I think I told you guys I'm born Jamaican, at the gym African, but in my bed I'm still Iraqi.
so
you
wait.
know?
So Vibes Cartel, he's free.
Yeah, he's free.
Vibes is free. This
Free.
guy's been celebrating Vibes free for the whole
I'm
day.
free.
He's been celebrating.
You know, you went off when I said, you know, the dance hall is gonna take the
I'm not
Afro
listening
music.
to it, man. You guys
and he
can
said,
have-
"Yo, this isn't you guys' dream."
Look, man, it's been like 6 summers of Afro beats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love dancehall. Don't get me wrong. You guys could, you know, I feel like Jamaicans, they didn't want to share with us for a little bit. You know what I mean? Because
And now
they're quick to claim it back. It's
Yes.
like, you know what? Make
Take
Vibes
your
give us a
time.
hit. Let him give us a hit first. Can he give us a hit first?
All right,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
got you. You know what? I got no complaint. I'm
Fair.
on both sides now.
Fair.
Now, talking about the history of hip hop, I don't want to forget another legend that created some type of space for us, which is he made a lot of space for me, because when I seen him, he got me inspired, and when I seen him on TV, I was like, I gotta go see this guy. I gotta go meet him. I called the whole entire world to know who he is, and his name is Belly Rebellious.
Okay.
He used to be CP Record at the time.
Yeah.
And when he had his song with Corrupt,
Big.
that was one of the biggest songs I ever heard. And when I seen him spinning that B chain, I was like, motherfucker, if we made it to the TV with Corrupt,
Yeah.
and you're a Canadian and have a video shoot like this, I gotta know you. Literally the next day in the morning, 2007, I went to Ottawa, and Beat Merchant helped me out to get into that because he was working with them.
Okay.
And I went to Bali. They knocked at the door. I walked in. Tony Sal seen me. He's like, welcome. He said to him, this is the biggest jeweler out of Toronto. He's like, it's done. Come on in. And I was there for 2 nights.
Clutch.
Studio and all that. And from there, I seen Belly when he dropped his album. He had Corrupt. He had Genuine.
That's when he had the double. That was the double album he did. I think it was a Revolution. or something like that it was called.
Yeah, Revolution 1. Okay, so you already know. What was the feeling, you know, the absorbment? Because, you know, I'm talking about real feeling, because a lot of the new generation don't know how hard it is for us.
Yeah, the
as
amount of
hip-hop.
work. Yeah.
And now we're finally able to voice our voice due to the biggest man that made Canada easy to be in access, which is Drake. He put the whole country on the map, and it
Absolutely,
made
yeah.
it easier for us to make. So we got to give the flowers when it's due. Tell me what it is. I know you're the first legend I met.
So you know, like watching Belly's his come up is crazy. Belly's actually one of the few rappers I haven't had a chance to spar with. You know what I'm saying? Me and him got to spar still.
Yeah,
on
he's one of
these
the
records.
nicest
You know what I
guys.
mean? But yeah, his pen is definitely like is top. It's top level. That time was crazy because Belly and those guys are like, they came and really showed Canadian rap like what the business should look like.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
And I
literally-
think that's what I really. So at the time, and he doesn't even know this, I was signed to a record label called Soul Clap Records when I was like 17, 18 years old. I had my first record on radio and shit like that. Belly and those guys, they came from Ottawa looking for a distribution deal at the time, and they came to the office that I was recording at. He wouldn't even remember. I was like super young.
That's
you know
a
what I mean?
big story. I
Yeah,
love.
yeah. Like, and I remember him from like freestyles. Like I said, I used to go to different neighborhoods and like freestyle. There was a big freestyle battle in Ottawa they used to have every single year, and I ended up winning that shit. But I remember him being outside of the shit. You know what I mean? Like, so little things like that. Like, it's kind of cool to just like watch people's climb. And like for you kind of have a unique perspective because you come in as a jeweler, so you're very much like, you almost got like a bird's eye view to the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like,
I like to be mutual.
yeah,
I like to be friends with everybody.
yeah, there's no reason for anybody to
Yeah.
have any issues with you. You know what I mean, type of thing. So
No
it's
way.
it's all love, right? It's all love when you come around. Like so, but the time was different. The work was different. To get your music on radio and like to
Yeah.
shoot videos was a
Very
lot
expensive.
of money, right? Like it was a lot of money, and those guys really came in and showed the rap guys, because you got to think they weren't from Toronto, right? But they made an impact across the country.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So
that was the biggest thing because he was from Ottawa. Toronto was like very difficult. And
yeah,
then
it's hard. It's hard
took
to
over.
if you're not from Toronto and you come to Toronto, it's
Yeah.
hard to get embraced like that. You know what I mean? And they put in the work and took the time to really understand the place and make the connections, and they were consistent, man. Belly was running this place for like
at least 5 years. Yeah.
and
showed
even when
everybody
he
how to do
didn't
it.
have his own joints on radio, he was writing. You
For others, and
would
he's still
hear
the
a Belly
biggest.
song every
Yeah.
3 minutes. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, big ups to those guys. Those
Yeah,
guys,
big up, big up,
you know,
big
from
up. I love-
CPXO, it's nothing but love.
I
man.
love this is like real history. That's why I'm talking
Yeah,
about
yeah, it's
history.
kind of yeah.
I
you know,
love Belly. I'm not gonna lie. And what you just said, they brought the business perspective to the street and made us understand how it works because they were able to organize and bring all these American rappers and create the sickest videos, winning Juno Awards because he did win the Juno Award with the Genuine.
Yeah,
You got me
Yeah, I'm sure
under
he has a
pressure.
couple. By now, I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
Belly
think
has a
that's
couple,
the song.
man. Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
that was the first Juno Award, I believe. Now, what I want to say to you, when it goes down to history and talking on everybody right now, what do you feel the difference between 20 years ago and the difficulties going through versus today?
what are the difficulties? Like, what are the challenges some of these new guys are facing?
You like in the past we talked about how much difficult it was to get your music across the border or get the Americans to accept the Canadian hip hop. They didn't even know if Canada had hip hop.
Right.
Toronto was fucking vicious, crazy. You know, I mean, scary time hours.
Yeah,
at
it
all
was a different
times,
time.
you know?
It was a different time.
But after that, social media started, YouTube started, nobody knew how to use it. You know, the platform of streaming started. It made it easy for people that are smart to know how to communicate and be able to find management and whatever it is. But what is the difficulties today the new hip-hop young generation is finding to get their music here?
So I would say the biggest challenge these guys now face, like, it's the gift and the curse. The fact that the internet is there and accessibility is there is amazing because anybody can find your music. But now you're not just competing with the couple guys in your neighborhood, you're competing with the whole world.
Correct.
Right? So it's changed the playing field a little bit for them, like where it's not just about the music, right? Like in my generation, the videos were super important, but the music, your album really mattered. You know what I mean? You putting together 13 records that were really good on a project really mattered. Now you could get away with having one and you know, a one and done, and you could become rich from it. You know what I mean? So I love the opportunity that's there for these guys now, but it's difficult because it's everybody sees it. You know what I mean, right? Like it's not like the thing that was dope about kind of my time and like watching rappers grow up is we didn't know everything about the rappers.
Yeah, what they
you
do,
know what I mean? Like,
how they go out.
I didn't know everything about Jay-Z. I didn't know everything about Raekwon.
Right.
I didn't know, you know what I mean? I heard your raps, and maybe we saw a video, and that was the thing that really kept us in tune, or maybe I was lucky enough to catch you on tour, but I didn't know what you eat for breakfast. I didn't know, you know what I mean, your kids' names.
It makes sense.
You know
it makes sense
so,
because there was no social media connection.
So
now you see everything.
So, and that's good and bad because certain people, they have those personalities and they have those things that where their record might not even matter. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're so, you just like them. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot easier to buy into a person now than I guess it was before. But me, I'm a music guy first, right? So I don't like how microwavable the music is now. Like it feels like you drop a song and it's done in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Whereas before you kind of got time to sit with it and like, you know, critique it. And it's like I would have a discussion with you about so and so's album. Like no one even talks about albums now.
Yeah. That's
right?
exact. Yes.
Yeah,
that's
so
the issue. Nobody knows a lot
little
of
things, man.
Yeah.
There's little differences, but it's definitely a great time like to be an artist right now because you have the most control. They have the most ownership. In terms of like contracts and things like that, you're in the best position, you know what I mean? Like because now you can go in with real leverage and real numbers like, yo, I do this much every time I drop, you got to give me this much. You know what I mean? Like before it was like, here's the offer. And you're like,
no, and sometimes they tell you the offer, you sign, you don't read in between the lines.
Right, and
then you end up with nothing until your 5 full albums gets dropped because every record label, this is how they used to do it.
Yeah, it's changed. You know, the 360 deals, you know, record labels have their hand in everything now, you know, but, you know, the trade-off is having the machine behind you, right?
Yeah, and there's more ways to make revenues now due to the TikToks and social media of all platforms.
So
you use
things,
the songs.
OnlyFans, like
rappers
are on OnlyFans. You know what I mean? There's
Oh.
all sorts of stuff, man. Like there's so many revenue streams. Like,
Oh, that's fucking amazing. I didn't know they fucking OnlyFans. I'm just thinking now a rapper on OnlyFans pole dancing on the fucking camera.
You're thinking
How do they do it? Because
No.
I don't know. I've never been on
No.
OnlyFans, but how does OnlyFans works?
I don't know.
Don't tell me.
I know nothing. Game. In terms of game, you know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of different ways to make money and like merch, and like I've been lucky enough to tour with guys like Onyx and like Raekwon and Classified and Madchild, like a lot of rappers that do a lot of dates. You know what I mean? And like merch is always gonna be something that runs. You know what I mean? Like whether you're a really big artist or you're an artist that's like fresh and up and coming. You know what I mean? Making T-shirts and connecting your fans to like your brand and learning how to build a brand and like marketing things, you know, these are always going to be important things for a rapper, whether you're at a beginning stage or you're at the highest stage. You know, they're just doing it with more people involved and like, but you always got to have that mindset. Like I've always been of the business side as well when it comes to my career, you know. So I always encourage rappers to like do your research, make sure you're reading up on the stuff, make sure you're learning about streaming, make sure you're building relationships with people. You know, this is the stuff that's gonna give you a career for 15 years and 20 years. You know, it's not gonna be your music, it's gonna be your relationships. And like if you could be ice cold, but if you have amazing relationships, when you drop, whole world's gonna know it. You know what I mean? So
this is something like I love talking to you, by the way. Oh, what just
we getting attacked?
Okay. I love it.
It's not by the bees this time.
You have to put this thing. I want to tell you something. I really love talking to you. I enjoy your friendship since
You're my
first
dog,
day.
man. You're my dog.
And I always explain to people, money is not the only source of relationships. And people ask me, Kilani, how did you do it? How did you make it? We made the best jewelry all around. We created relationships, and we were able to turn all the people that we met through our life into family. And definitely you one of these people. Definitely.
Come on. You know it's love. You know it's love, man. He gives me the early morning fucking FaceTime sometimes. It's just gotta go to sleep.
Thank God I can get hold of you, because one time for 5 years I'm running after you and I see you commenting on my personal account. I'm like, dog, when are you gonna call me? When are you gonna see me?
I only like to come here when I'm
I know. I chased you for 5 years to see me, but I love you're back in my life.
You
Good.
always make things good, man. You always make things good.
Now, the best advice I always tell people when they ask me how did you make it, Kilani, I tell them, be normal, just be you. And the relationship that we created with our clients, that's been built and accumulated throughout the years of so much obstacles, fun, happiness, sadness, everything in my relationship with everybody. And now I have people in my life like you that's been in my life for over a decade, 2 decades, like Uncle Bishop or Big Shot. And the reality is, you never know when the day comes for you. So I'm going to give you a real big story for the young people. And from there, I want to hear how you feel and what's your story for the young people. If you know Devonte, he's work on excellent.
Okay, yeah.
Devonte came into my life when I was in the flea market at the age of 12. He has a kid right now, and I believe he's 32 or 31. But at the age of 12, his great-grandma, grandma, and mom were buying jewelry from me. And him, knowing about hip-hop, Kilani was popping at the time. And when they used to go in the flea market, they see all the jewelry. They realized Kilani had the best jewelry. And he used to look at me and say, Kilani, one day I'm going to buy jewelry from you and only from you. Then he started to buy all the jewelry from me. And then it didn't matter about jewelry. We became very close. I talked to his family. I go visit him. We go work out. And he started to grow, and he started to listen to my advices. Now, it started like this. Now he's at 31. The table flipped. So I know him when he was a baby. Growing up now has a baby.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Now, I asked him to come and help me at the studio to create my album. And when we dropped the first, like when we created the first song, and it took me like half an hour, 45 minutes, the song was done. And then I kept asking him, what do you think about the song? He's not replying to me. I was like, fuck, this guy is acting like me now, because when people ask me, what was my piece, I don't respond. I was like, what the fuck? This guy's doing it to me. After the song was finished in 3 hours, 2 hours and something, Bishop fucking arrived. I looked at him and I was like, is the song good? He's like, man, I would not be here if I don't know I'm going to come out with you on a good song. You understand? So I looked at him and was like, look how the world works. I met you as a young kid. You needed me in your life.
And now we're
I'm
like
asking you,
full circle.
This is what means relationships.
Yeah.
Tell me about relationships.
Yeah, like it's like I said, you know what I mean? Like I have people that have been like around me from the beginning of my career, you know what I mean? And the good thing about that is you're able to have kind of perspective on the things you've done. And for me, I'm very much like I work and go. You know what I mean? I don't think about the things I've done in the past, but it's good to have people around you that experience that stuff, because they can remind you of some of the heights when you're low, or like in terms of like connecting things. Like for me, I'm all about if I don't make a phone call to everybody for things. So when I make the call, people pick up, because I don't call for every little thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's how it should be.
Which
anyway.
is absolutely right. But I tell a lot of these young guys, like for example, from the show aspect, like I learned to build relationships with different promoters and stuff, because I brought value to it. I make sure that I'm going to bring people to the shows. You know what I mean? And that was something that I used to do when I was younger. So then it's nothing for me to book you if I know you're going to bring 20 people that are going to pay full rate or whatever it is. You already made the little $500 that you were going to ask for or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So just little things, little tips like that, not being scared to go to record labels. I used to fly to England to go meet with Island Def Jam over there. And I remember same thing. I went to the front door, and they were like, oh, who are you here to meet? And I was like, I looked it up, knew a guy's name, was like, oh, I'm here to meet this guy. They're like, well, your name isn't on the list. I'm like, look, I came here all the way from Canada. You hear it in my accent right away, but and then they end up letting me upstairs. I end up meeting with certain people, and that led to certain little deals. You know what I mean? And like, to me, it's like,
you build your relationships
yeah,
there.
that, and not being afraid. Like, I think a lot of these guys rely on the internet, and the internet's an amazing tool. Don't get me wrong. You have access to any and everyone, right? But as soon as you make contact with that person, go double back and do it in person. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing for me to hear from you in an email. It's another thing from when I look you in your eye.
Motherfucker,
you know what I'm
you said it direct, and I love
thing
it.
when I look you in your eye,
100%.
right?
This means
a whole
world.
other thing. You know,
This is a whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to encourage that. Like,
that's sick.
Yeah.
Because when people send me a message and say, "How are you, Kilani?" I pick up FaceTime and I call them, and if they don't pick up, they're like, "Motherfucker, if you had the moment to tell me, Kilani, I miss you, or how are you, or how are you doing, or how was your day," and I'm calling you back and you're not picking up, next time make sure you only call me. Don't send me that text.
Word.
You know what I mean? And they're
right?
like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'll call you right now." And then I'm like, "You know what? It's done."
Yeah, it's good.
If you have the moment to text me, FaceTime me.
Give me that 2 seconds.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that.
Real shit, man.
This
real
is
shit.
sick. What do you absorb from this conversation that we've just had, and how do you feel about remember the fucking face?
Well, this conversation we had is regular because you my dog, so me and you talk anyways.
Sick.
You know what I mean? So this was just regular, but I guess us filming it is what makes it a little bit different.
You know, this can be edited, but I'm trying to take shots.
Yeah, look. Who's he taking shots at? Tomato?
Tomato. Go get us a tomato. Let's crush it right now.
Why you do that to these guys, man?
No. But, yo, I love what you just said. It seems like the name switched. The name switched. It doesn't take much for us to switch the name.
Yo,
but does it suit him?
Look, I like your slogan. Okay, I like it. I like the remember the fucking face slogan.
Yes,
I want to see what you do with it. I know you got some big plans. I'm not gonna jump out the gate and let people know, but I know you got some big plans.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see where you go with this thing.
How do you feel about shots fired? But my
about
shots
you
fired.
Firing the shots? I don't know if anybody fired back yet. I just saw the shots that came from you.
Okay, I'll tell you.
I think it's good for the game, man. This is good energy. This is good energy. You know what I mean? It's good to keep everybody sharp. It's good to keep everyone competitive. It's no different than rap. If you take it personal, get back in your bag. You know what I mean? Go bigger. Go bigger.
You know, what I tell people, like, I got a phone call. Not a lot of people call because they know how I am. My personality, my way of talking has always been the same way since I was young. And I love life. I love human beings more than animals. I'm sorry.
I'm not mad at that.
Okay? A lot of men and a lot of humans like animals. I actually enjoy humans because they are the most smartest creature on earth that can give you feeling, love, care, respond, be there for you, carry you out when you fall, maybe push your chair, or if you're on a wheelchair. A dog can't do that.
I don't know. I've seen dogs do some wild shit.
Yeah, but not everybody can't pull a 300-pound kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
but we're talking reality of the genius thing about creatures, and that's what makes my personality. But I'm gonna tell you one thing: I'm a social media genius, and I say that not because I'm on here. I think about everything. So when I got the call, and like Kilani, like I was like, all my life I've been getting shots at. Like, everybody say something, or they try to use my name to create business, or try to tell people I can do like Kilani, I can give you VVS, Kilani. But I am the biggest dealer. So you can't break the biggest dealer, because if he's buying the most, he has the best price. But I don't sell the mix and bullshit. And you've been through with me with my recall.
Process,
Even when recalling your piece and remaking it and whatever is that's not a lot of businesses can carry that. That's because only we are a company. Now, why I said that, I love social media, and when I have a plan to promote something, I do this. And it's a social media thing, and that's the only way now you can succeed, because even the social media statistic and the rhythm, it doesn't even show you the friends that you follow anymore, because if they're not relevant and they're not popping content, it's not coming up.
Yeah.
My Snapchat alone, it received almost 20,000 interaction in 24 hours. That is fucking big. Today I'm meeting with the GM of Snapchat of Canada. He wants to talk to me.
There it is.
I don't know what the fuck is the plan.
Yeah.
Is it to tell me cool down?
Nah, he's
Remember the
saying,
fucking
do
face?
it again.
So I only tell people nowadays social media is the key to platforms and to break and to get your name and your voice heard worldwide. But you have to think about genius ways and ideas. At the same time, don't be disrespectful, don't lie, don't make up a story unless it's right, it's real, something really happened. Did you understand?
Yeah.
And when I come out with remember the fucking face, I'm not attacking anybody. And I always tell people, go back to my video, hear my words. You're not gonna find hate, you're gonna find awareness, education. But it's due to me exploding, seeing junk and shit all around, and people believe in it because these people are using my name as a tool to make business. Did you understand? Saying I can be like Kilani, I can do like Kilani workers work for me, I have the same diamonds half price, I have the same chain, I can make you the same thing. How do you feel about what I'm saying? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like social media, you come at social media in a smart, genius way where it doesn't trap you and put you in a...
Yeah, you use it to your advantage, right?
Exactly.
Like, and I think there has to also be a level of like not giving a fuck too.
Yeah.
To like be able to navigate social media, right?
Well,
like,
not giving a fuck, you know? I'm going to tell you...
I just say that in the sense that like...
No, it's true.
People like, they're going to have their opinions of you.
Yeah, I don't
right?
give a fuck anyway.
There it is,
That's
right?
why I
Like, so
remember the
you,
fucking
that's what I
face.
mean.
Yeah,
You have to
yeah.
have a level of that, you know.
So
that,
I tell you, my wife's sister came from Sweden. Two sisters. They came from Sweden 2 weeks ago, and they were with us. And after a full day of talking to me and really spent time now, first time for them in Canada, in my own house. From the first day, this is my personality. I pick like this, you know. Bully. You know?
yeah.
The next day, she looked at me and she's like, Kilani, you're full of yourself. I told her, I was like, do you know how hard is it to be able to fill up yourself and to be full of it?
Yeah.
It's not easy. You have to make it to a certain level for you to be able to be full of yourself.
Yeah.
Why? Because then the knowledge, the experience, what you know, what you got, what you can provide, what others can do, that's what makes you full of yourself. It's not a bad thing. You have to realize I'm not shy, I'm not ashamed of showing people what I do or how I do it or how I speak, because I'm not looking on how people judgments out there is gonna look at me or say. And then the other sister looks at me, she's like, but you know what, in Sweden, if you're wearing all these jewelry and stuff like that, immediately the cops will pick on you because they will think that like you're a drug dealer or you're like... I looked at her, I was like, you guys are close-minded, very old school. You don't know what life is and how life works. You need to move to North America to understand what life is all about. How you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean? But I do think, this isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's okay.
And that's okay.
That's just true.
You know what I'm
And I
saying?
tell you one thing. Every time I traveled outside of North America, when they looked at me wearing all my bust downs and shit, even I remember when I went to Australia 2004, 2005, I was wearing my 5-time Zone Jacob, and it's all buzzed down. It was like everybody was staring at me in the wrong way. I couldn't get into clubs that easy, and it was all because I was wearing a bust down.
Because you were too icy?
Just a fucking watch.
It's a little too icy for these guys, huh?
Remember the fucking face podcast coming at you.
Remember the fucking face.
Remember the fucking face podcast.
I'm JDR. Remember the fucking face.
That's exactly who it is. The realest, the most experienced, and a real true legend in the hip-hop community out of Toronto, Canada. And I adore you. I cherish you. And I respect you a lot.
Appreciate you, dog.
And I would never want to lose your friendship. Even if you want to take off on me, I'll find you.
You guys heard that, right? That's recorded. You know what to look for.
Stay tuned to the next podcast because we're coming back with more hot, fresh ideas, raw, uncut videos and stories that you never ever heard, and it will astonish your mind and make you always be tuned up to remember the fucking base. Let's go. I love you, JD Era. You're the man.
Thank you.
Thank you.